Order. Neil, can we get started? Public comments?
Mr. Bowden.
Good morning, Murray.
This on? Yeah, it's on. Hi. It's been quite a day. When Governor Cuomo said we don't have to shut the L train tunnel down, he changed the rule book. And if anybody isn't paying attention, they're gone. It's a whole new ball game. He said, essentially, what's the best thing we can do today, using the best available technology today? And if you did a survey a year ago, it's probably out of date. You got to learn how to do things on a more current basis. You said it this morning, Chuck, and Neil, you said it too. What's the best thing to do today? And I've been discussing it with your team for a long time. And I expect that in the near future I'll meet with them again and put some specific plans on the road. Not much to say here. In finance, I'll tell them what's going on and that they have to replace Susan because she doesn't know how to get rid of married pair, and maybe Mitch for the crossing lights. But you are listening, and once we have a conversation, we can go forward. They're not listening. That's the difference. Governor Cuomo said, what can we do today using the best available technology? If you don't understand that, you're gone. But you understand it, Neil understands it, and so we're making steps forward. I'll have more to say in finance.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No.
That's it? Mr. President.
Do we have to do a motion? Do we have to do a motion? Approve the committee work plan?
Oh, before I do that, do we have any changes in the work plan?
No changes in the
Okay.
work plan.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes? All in favor? Done. Now, I guess the next thing is your remarks.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the January Bridges and Tunnels Committee meeting. If I may, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Cedric Fulton for his work at MTA, and MTA Bridges and Tunnels wishes him a happy and healthy retirement. With that, I'd like to go to the report of operations. Rich Hildebrand, please.
Good afternoon and thank you. The report on operations begins on page 18. We'll be reporting on November of 2018. The following is a summary of traffic levels compared to the previous year. Traffic was 2.4% higher in November of 2018, and preliminary traffic in December of 2018 was 4.7% higher. Through year-to-date, November 2018, in our continuing effort to target unsafe driver behavior, Bridge and Tunnel officers have issued 8.5% more speeding summonses when compared to the same period last year. This information is found on page 36 of the B&T Committee report. Bridge and Tunnel officers continue to perform potentially life-saving activities. On December 26th of 2018, Bridge and Tunnel Lieutenant Harry Prasad and other members of service from the Queens Midtown Tunnel responded to a report of a woman in labor on the Queens side of the tunnel. Upon arrival, Lieutenant Prasad coached the parents through the birth. Upon arrival of the baby's airway was obstructed, and Lieutenant Prasad coached the father through clearing the baby's airway and got her breathing again. EMS arrived shortly thereafter and transported the family to the hospital. Fittingly, the baby was named Allie, after the highway on which she was born, the Long Island Expressway. Her name is spelled A-L-I-E. Unless there are any questions, this concludes the report on operations.
Inspector, that comes with that seat that you are now occupying.
Yes, sir.
A question. If you look at page 32, it appears customer injury collision rates have increased again. Employee accident rates have increased again. And lost time has increased again. Why?
We're looking at each of the injuries, working closely, operations works closely with our safety and health department to analyze each of the injuries and take any corrective measures. We're looking at the injuries from a training aspect, from a change in the workforce aspect, in that our employees are not as stationary as they used to be. They're more mobile now. They're involved in more vehicular patrols. They're involved in more vehicle interdictions in and out of cars. We're keeping an eye on any training needs that come up. As far as our customers go, our traffic is traveling at a higher rate of speed over our bridges. Our motorists involved in collisions do tend to report injuries on a more regular basis, and we take those reports as part of our collision reporting process.
But Commissioner Zuckerman has, for some period of time, been tracking the ups and downs of this. And this is disturbing because it's the most in a long time. Dan?
Chairman, Eric Osnes will go through the safety minutes. You can probably give some more information on that.
As far as worker injury is concerned, our rates are going up. But if you look at our raw number from quarter to quarter, our number has actually dropped by 10%. What's happening from a population standpoint is that if you look at the peak from 2017 to where we are at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, we've lost about 50,000 hours. So as a result of our denominator going down, our numerator is going up in the rate. And so that begs the question, well, if your population is going down, then how come the raw number isn't going down proportional to your total population? The reason behind that is that a significant portion of the population that we lost was not a significant contributor to the lost time IOD rate. So to add to what Richie was talking about, as far as looking at our employee workplace, we are, as an organization, approaching an average age of roughly 50. So if you look at our injuries correspond to injuries of a 50-year-old workforce that is working in a law enforcement environment. So there's many repetitive stress issues that we're contending with, simple functional activities of coming in and out of a car because of the amount of time we're spending in cars is causing some of those musculoskeletal issues that we're trying to address. We've done some ergonomic studies to look at maybe how we can address some of those issues, but if we're looking at the equipment that's in our cars, the equipment that our employees are wearing in relation to the tight spaces that are in our vehicles, it's definitely a challenge on how we can mitigate some of those conditions which are leading to some of the injuries that we're receiving.
How about the customers, though? That injury rate's the highest since 2015.
We're keeping an eye on the customer injury rate. There are several locations that we're keeping an eye on. Those locations we feel are associated with volume of traffic, and the volume of traffic in relation to our adjacent properties. I think Cedric said it best at one point, that our adjacent properties are not necessarily retrofitted to handle the amount of volume that we're capable of pushing through. As a result, there may be some correlation to that. We also see that most of our incidences related to injuries are on the span. So we're increasing our law enforcement, or making sure that our law enforcement is available to ensure traffic is moving at the proper rate or speed on our span. That's a couple of reasons that we've concluded.
We were just talking about it. Obviously, you've had two specific changes which have occurred. Number one, I assume the distribution of the workforce has changed in the jobs that they do now as opposed to jobs they did 3 years ago. So that is one change. And number two, there's a change in the physical environment on the spans because nobody stops anymore. Or let me put it this way, nobody is supposed to stop anymore. I leave out what actually happens sometimes. But those two changes have basically changed the nature of the relationship between the employees and the customers, and also has changed the customer experience, because it was much easier to enforce violations when everybody stopped. I don't want to say it's difficult, it's more difficult than it was to enforce violations when everybody wants to get away as quickly as possible, and that changes the nature of the relationship. So I'd be interested in how you think those two things have factored into both customer injuries and employee injuries, especially as it relates to the distribution of the workforce. Because clearly, your workforce in 2019, in the jobs they do, is different than the workforce in 2015 and 16 in the jobs they do. Not right or wrong, just different because of the nature of the relationship with the customer. You no longer have toll takers who are in one place. Those people, maybe the person isn't gone, but the job is gone in that context, and that person may be doing something else or may have left employment, and that has an impact on what they do.
If I could take the customer injuries first. The accidents, total number of accidents is down, and for the end of the year, you'll see that they're down. And what we lost was the plaza accidents, which were the lower impact, side swipe, got bumped in the rear of the vehicle type accidents. Normally, they did not have an injury with that. We're still seeing the accidents on the bridge, which is a higher rate of speed, and we basically are flat when you look at the end of the year. So they're flat at the end of the year, injuries, but the accidents went way down. That's what we kind of expected to happen. As far as the relationship between the employees and customers and employee injuries, I think Eric and Rich both said it, and you said it yourself. Getting in and out of vehicles more than ever before. Because when if they're in the toll booth or on the toll plaza, they're in a fixed location. Where now they're getting out of vehicles, different elevations, different areas, maybe off property a little bit. We did see, though, an increase of summonses and arrests through the last 2 years, because we did change the way the workforce operates. And we did enhance what they already do as far as summonses and arrests. We enhanced with training, and I think we're very proactive in what we thought was going to happen, was that there was going to be more car stops, which we gave more car stop training, and an intersection training, which is handling of traffic, especially around the tunnels, more so than ever before, because the toll plazas weren't there. So you're 100% right that we did change the way we do business, and we're kind of seeing what we thought we were going to see. We're not happy with the injuries to our employees, and Eric is addressing that.
Thank you.
Mr. DiCrescenzo, the legacy of Cedric was that after 3 presidents of bridges and tunnels in very short succession, he came in, and with everyone in this table, including Eric, especially Eric in many regards, we brought our accident situation under control. And that will be his legacy, and I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to him, but if he is listening or hears of this, I want him to know how much I, and I'm sure all my colleagues here, appreciate what he did. So you, Daniel, have a responsibility, as long as you're acting president, to ensure that that trajectory stays in the downward direction. I mean, downward meaning fewer accidents, whether injury or without injury. I look at the total collisions, the blue line, which is this year, I'm on page 33, and just eyeballing the last 9 months or so, we're kind of plateauing. It's kind of flat. It's in the high 6s, low 7s per million. I want you to continue your focus on keep bringing that thing down. I hear you about injuries are higher because of the nature of the speed and where they are. I totally hear that. But your job is to keep pushing this number down back to the historic areas we used to see, because it has creeped up since Q1 of last year, of 18. We've got to keep that on. Cedric's legacy over a relatively short period of time in his leadership was to drive those accidents down. And that's not just because of ORT being implemented. It's not only because of leadership from others, it is his as well. So you have that responsibility to continue that. And I haven't updated my chart in a couple of months, but Chuck, In support of you, sir, I will continue to update it and share with each of you. I love PowerPoint, so I will, as do you, clearly.
In fairness, I need to just add, Neil, it was Cedric's legacy. It was executed by Danny DiCrescenzo and his colleagues. You haven't made your comments. Oh, I'm sorry, Norman.
Yeah, I don't know. It must be the hair. It keeps you from seeing me or something. First of all, congratulations on a new gig, Dan. I got a question about your stats, though. Do you have is there any way you include the state police enforcement that occurs either on your properties or abutting your properties? Is that in any way included in your stats? Are you kept informed of how many people they're writing up?
Yes, we keep stats for the state police for summonses, arrests, and persistent toll violators, for people that their registrations were suspended and how many people they stopped. Rich, you have the current stats on that? We could get back to you. If, we definitely work with the state police, and we get their numbers every week, and we put it together with our numbers.
Yeah, I'd just like to see that included and broken out too, to see relatively how much work they're doing relative to yours. But my deeper question here is regarding, I mean, have you considered automated enforcement? If you were to do automated speed enforcement, would that require state legislation, or would you be able to go ahead on the authority of the Bridge and Tunnel rules? And I knew it was going to be Peg was going to answer. See, I got the trading cards.
With respect to, excuse me, Easy Pass customers, our Easy Pass customer agreement provides consequences for violating the speed limits on an Easy Pass facility, where you can have your tag revoked. But with respect to an automatic speed enforcement on the facilities other than for Easy Pass customers, I'd have to look into it, but my gut reaction is that we would need additional legislation.
Easy Pass customers, who are the bulk of your customers, we could enforce without legislation.
Yes, the agreement was initially designed for speed violations within a toll plaza, but I don't believe there's anything in the language that limits it to its initial concept.
It seems to me that conceptually that's a very valuable tool, especially with regard to, you know, all the balls that were broken over the speed camera legislation in the city. That if you could do that on the bridges would be conceivably very valuable.
We will look into it, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Just a quick statement, if I may. Picking up the ball for Cedric, definitely going to stay focused on the safety, the security, the state of good repair, and the protection of revenue, as long as I hold the ball. Report on safety.
Safety.
Eric?
Safety report begins on page 31. The following are highlights of the performance indicators for the month of November. For the 12 months through November 2018, there was 6.56 collisions per million vehicles, 18.7% than the 8.07 rate in the previous 12 months, and 11.7 better than the 7.3 rate in the 12 months ending November 2016. The 12-month injury collision rate for November was 0.99 per million vehicles, slightly higher than the rate of 0.98 in the previous 12-month period. Employee and contractor safety metrics are as follows. The employee accident reports and lost time injury rates for the 12 months through November 2018 were higher than the previous 12 months. B&T has identified ergonomic issues that are major contributors to lost time injuries and is mitigating them using a range of initiatives to including a new wellness program. The construction injury rates for the 12 months through November 2018 were slightly higher than the previous 12 months. but significantly lower than the 12 months ending in November 16. And that concludes the safety report.
Cashless tolling.
Thank you. Good afternoon. The November 2018 report on cashless tolling begins on page 37. November highlights are on pages 38 and 39 and include overall EasyPass market share, which is at 94.8%, up 1% from the prior year. Overall revenue collection is 100.2% as reported in Table 6 on page 42, based on tolls and fees collected from crossings occurring in October and November of 2017, which were the first 2 months of full agency-wide cashless tolling operations. Regarding customer service metrics on Table 7, page 43, call waiting times have been reduced by more than half from October performance, and we continue to work towards meeting and exceeding our performance standards. This concludes the report on cashless tolling.
In our speed to move this along, we omitted one very significant positive fact. By reason of the program, the number of incidents where tolls have to be paid by mail, as contrasted with EasyPass, is down 42.1% for last year, which is progress, showing more and more people are weaning away from going through the tolls and getting a bill, which takes time and costs money. Any questions on the cashless toll, Veronica?
What is our collection rate for tolls by mail?
We have that data. We can get back to you. It depends how you want to look at it in terms of understanding the whole piece. So we have a whole set of data we can share with you. You're welcome.
You could send that,
Yeah, absolutely.
you could send that to the board or to the committee. Financial report.
All right.
Financial
That's me.
report.
I just needed to write down what I needed to send all of you. All right, the financial report for November begins on page 45. We are comparing results against the July mid-year forecast. Support to mass transit was $1 billion through November, which is $77.2 million, or 8.2% better than forecast. Year-to-date toll revenue in November was $1.8 billion, which is 0.6%, or $11.3 million better than forecast. Higher traffic volumes are driving the favorable revenue results. Traffic through November was 295.3 million crossings, or 1% above forecast. Total expenses were $450.9 million through November, which is $52.2 million, or 10.4% lower than forecast. This concludes the financial report.
Questions? Capital program.
The report on the capital program begins on page 61. This report covers both December 2018 capital updates as well as results for the entire year of 2018. In December, B&T awarded 29 commitments totaling $218 million, including 3 design build projects. Rehab of tunnel ventilation system at the Hugh L. Carey Tunnel at $74.3 million, replacement of pier fender systems at the Marine Parkway and Cross Bay Bridges for $55.2 million, and the rehab of tunnel controls and communication systems at the Queens Midtown Tunnel for $30.3 million. Overall, in 2018, B&T awarded 151 commitments at a value of $730.5 million, or 91.2% of plan. In December, B&T completed 2 major projects totaling $199.1 million. The major projects completed were rehab of lift span mechanical systems and painting at the Marine Parkway Bridge for $102.8 million. And the design build Sandy flood resiliency project at the Hugh Carey and Queens Midtown Tunnel in the amount of $96.3 million. With completion of this flood resiliency project at the tunnels, all major Sandy restoration and resiliency projects are now complete. Overall, in 2018, Bridges and Tunnels realized our highest ever yearly completion plan with 11 projects totaling $1.38 billion completed, which is 96.5% of plan. There were 5 task level closeouts in December, bringing total closeouts for 2018 to $149.5 million. Unless there are any questions, that concludes my report.
Questions? There are no procurements, and before I take a motion to adjourn, I would like on behalf of the...
Commissioner, before we do so, I think we have to approve the committee work plan.
Oh, I thought we did that in the beginning. On the motion to approve the work plan, all those in favor? Contrary-minded, abstentions, done, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Claire, I want to thank Cedric Fulton for service that was superb. I thank him for his wise counsel and his steady hand, and I wish him all the very best. I now am ready for a motion to adjourn. Second, done. Thank you.